Well, hey, everybody, this is MJ Bolt with the chairwoman of the Spokane County GOP, and we've got our endorsed candidate, Tony Kiepe, with us today, who's endorsed in the 3rd Legislative District. Welcome, Tony. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this, getting my name out and getting the word out what I'm running for. So let's make it happen. We haven't had a Republican in this race to win this race in 40 years, so it's time to make a change.
Amen to that. So, Tony, tell us about yourself, your background, and why you are running.
Myself, I come from a sales and marketing background. So we moved out here 24 years ago. I worked for Hollister Steer as a director of sales. Then after they sold to Jubilant Labs, I became had my own business for a few years. Did not do very well with that. That's very tough. Having your own business, all my employees got paid well, but the last person to get paid was me. But then I started selling insurance. Oh my goodness, what a great field. I wish I started that a long time ago. Did group insurance for 5 years. In the past 6 years, I've been doing Medicare. There's a lot of changes with Medicare happening, and you need to talk to your agent, talk to me if you see problems coming up. But I decided to run when several people started asking me. We don't have a Republican running in the legislative district in District 3 or the Senate. And I decided to jump in the race. And there's a lot of poor policies going on. I believe people want to change right now. We're one seat away from the Democrats having the supermajority. We don't want that to happen. I want to block it right here with this open seat. To me, I'm running against 2 radicals, Ben Stuckert, Natasha Hill. So this is a chance for me to win, and I need your vote.
Yes, amen to that. And we do appreciate you running, Tony. In the 3rd, we've tried to get some more running mates for you in the other positions, and we weren't able to do that this time. But I so applaud you for stepping up, because we
Thank
need
you.
a change in the 3rd. And people are asking for it. Our PCOs have been asking for it and wanting, a good candidate in the 3rd. So we're excited to have you. So you kind of touched on your opponents a little bit, but why, Tony, should citizens vote for you over your opponents?
Well, one reason is I want to look at Ben Stuckert. In 2018, he's the reason he is president of the city council. He's the reason why we have the homeless situation we have today. And I will not support his policies, what he's doing with the homeless. I want accountability for the homeless. We're spending $100,000 a person. Where's that money going? I think every citizen wants to know, how is our money being used? Now, Lisa Brown's going to tax, what, 0.01% tax on our state tax or city taxes? That's totally wrong, just to put into the homeless situation when we have no accountability.
So you talk about, so you feel like you're a better candidate than Ben Stuckert. And what about Natasha Hill? She's
Well,
the other one that's running, right?
Natasha, she goes to city council and she's teaching the young college kids how to protest and be a socialist. We don't want a socialist in our community. She does a lot of social media. That's all that you can really find about her, but she really promotes being socialist, more government control. And I'm for, this is the people's seat. This seat belongs to you. If you tell me you don't want something and it goes with my morals and my background values, I will not support that.
So you're definitely the We the People candidate, standing up for the citizens of the 3rd
Oh,
more than
absolutely.
the other people that are running.
This is your seat. It's not my seat. I'm not going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what the people want me to do.
Yeah.
And look at last year, there was a bill proposed. There's like 135 talked against it, and like 6 people, 10 people talked for it. What happens? They still passed the bill, even though that many people spoke against the bill. So they're not listening to us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't want another person like Ben or Natasha that won't listen to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, given the pervasiveness of money and lobbyists in our government, along with the strong presence of special interest groups, how do you intend to effectively navigate and combat these pressures to genuinely represent and stand up for the interests of the citizens in the 3rd Legislative District? In other words, we know there's a ton of pressure to go along to get along. How are you going to ensure that you're constantly representing the citizens?
Well, I don't mind parking in the very last parking place, if that's the parking place I'm given. Because I've heard that if you don't go along, vote along, you're going to be in the last parking place, the farthest way away. And we can't let the lobbyists tell us how to vote, what to do. I know there's pressure. They're going to start making friends with you at the very beginning. And they're going to realize I can't work with Tony on this issue. Tony's a stand-up guy. We believe in Tony, but this is one issue that we're not going to win with.
Good, good. That's important.
But
Given
you
the,
gotta,
oh, go
you do
ahead.
have to meet with them and talk with them and hear their points. But I'm the type person, I want to listen to you. I want to hear your points and you're going to hear my points.
Yeah.
I mean, last week when I was door building, I had a lady just, well, yes, it costs more, but we're making more. Look how much more the young people are making today, $16 an hour. I go, well, they can't afford 42 cents a gallon because of carbon tax. But well, that's okay. They're making more. And I just can't believe that mentality. It's sad. I have doing Medicare, I have men on fixed incomes. That is hard on their budget. They can't spend an extra 42 cents a gallon for gas. That's $5 for a tank of gas that you're paying in carbon tax.
Mhm. Exactly. Let alone our property taxes that keep going up.
Awful.
Yeah, and especially like you said, our elderly that are on the fixed income, we know the housing issue is terrible for our young adults. It's they can't afford to even consider getting their own place. I mean, that's a real concern.
Well, my son and his wife lived with us for 2 years and they saved money. Everything they went into savings. And they just bought a house back in October, $350,000 on the lower South Hill for a two-bedroom house. They go, well, rent is $2,000 for rent, or we're going to pay $2,000 to own something. But they had a go set and they put the money down and saved the money over 2 years. But it was a sacrifice. And today we have so much bureaucracy in the housing market. It costs $80,000 more to build a house in Washington than it does in Idaho. That's because of
The
the
same
bureaucracy.
house, the exact same
Same house,
house.
same house. So permitting takes a long time. You got to build houses on top of each other today. I mean, here in Eagle Ridge, they're building below us and building above us, and the houses are tiny, but they're trying to make them affordable. And there's one house after another house. So it's sad that it's come to that. I think we should build what we want, what the people, what the market will dictate.
Yeah,
But
and a lot of that is the regulations that have been added through our legislature, right? You have to have, you can't build gas fireplaces anymore on new construction. I mean, all sorts of regulations, correct?
that's correct.
Yeah,
You can't build what the people want.
yep. And that's why, exactly, that's what I think I heard the same thing, $80,000 more to build the exact same house in Washington as 30 minutes away on the Idaho, across the border. So we're pricing our people out because of regulations. And I know that's what you'd go in and fight against, Tony. And
Well,
that's why we need you.
we have to look at our comprehensive plan. We set a plan, what, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago? This is where we're going to build. We want to build closer to the city, but we need to look at that. Our growth is more, we have more people. If we don't look at our plan and adjust it based on our growth, prices are going to continue to go up. We have 1 million people, we're short on 1 million homes in the state of Washington. And if we don't look at our comprehensive plans, it's going to get worse.
Yeah. Tony, you've been pretty involved in the community down there in Eagle Ridge as well, right? You've been, to those neighborhood meetings and been listening to the people, just concerned about what's going on and representation of voice. What's kind of the things that you've learned in attending those community meetings, and what are you hearing from the people?
In Eagle Ridge, it's infrastructure. Uh, I have neighbors losing their fire insurance. They're closer to the woods. They can't get fire insurance. We don't have a fire station. We have a small station, but it's not considered a full fire station. So the fire truck from the South Hill can't make it over the bridge. It's too heavy, is what I've been told at these meetings. We have infrastructure problems. Of course, people want libraries, but the first thing we need is a fire station. We get a fire station, but who's going to fund that? The city, last year, we had all the millions of dollars put into infrastructure for Eagle Ridge allocated, and the city council voted to move that money to the South Hill. So you look at 29th, Regal, all the work that's been done on there, that money was designed for Eagle Ridge. So that hurts us. And
Wow.
you hear complaints is last year's administration. No, as a city council, it's 5-2 that voted to spend that money. It was not Mayor Nadine Woodward. Uh, that's our problem, which is like, well, let's use the money over here and not where we need it.
Yeah.
And I think we need to build more houses over here, so there's more taxes allocated towards certain programs.
Right.
But we got to be
Absolutely.
self-sustainable.
Well, and you bring up the insurance thing, which I think is contributing to people's costs, right? And affecting their pocketbook. I mean, I've heard from, outside of even just like the local, having a fire station, which is extremely important, of course, affects your insurance, but also just crime and other things, other policies in our state are affecting people's insurance. I know mine's been affected. People's insurance is getting dropped because it's just they're just dropping people left and right because they just can't the insurance companies can't afford to cover people, right? I mean, you're in the insurance business.
Well, there's a couple issues there. The insurance commissioner did not raise prices for a couple of years. He did not take the time to look at them. So all of a sudden you have double price increases implemented at one time. We have a lot of faulty water pipes that are busting. Because they're busting, that's all covered under insurance. Well,
Mm,
gee, because of that bad work, people's insurance are being lost, canceled.
yeah, not a good situation. So here's another topic, Tony. Given the challenges and controversies surrounding COVID-19 mandates, what specific steps would you advocate for at the state level to balance public health interests with individual liberties? And how would you work to prevent the overreaching use of mandates for measures such as masking and vaccinations in future public health crises?
Well, I look at what Rob Chase and Bob McClaslin did. They were totally against the vaccine mandates. If it weren't for them, we would have had more mandates. We would have lost more freedom. I mean, I've been endorsed by the health group, but
Stand for
and
health freedom.
Stand for Health Freedom.
That's awesome.
And I'd say I'm pure blood. I'm not vaccinated, and I know my brother had COVID for 6 months, almost died 7 times with COVID. It was bad for him, but then he's had the shot just to go into the skilled nursing facility. He had the shot, then he was back into the ER that night and back in intensive care. So I've seen firsthand what the shot can do
Mm,
to you. But he had to have it just to go into care. He has thick blood today, so he's got a type of like blood cancer,
mm,
and people need to have the right to choose. That's what I believe. They need the right to choose what they want. If they don't want the shot, we close their schools down. We can use this as a case study what we did wrong, and we did a lot wrong with the mandates and taking people's freedom. But I just can't believe how fast people jumped on to, oh yeah, I'll wear a mask. Oh yeah, we'll close the churches down. That's so sad. Churches are never the same today. When I go to church, it's like half that used to be there. We used to have 2 services. There's only one service.
wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we have to protect our freedoms, and it needs to be by choice and no mandates.
Right. They definitely picked winners and losers during that emergency, and especially when the governor used those emergency powers, which the legislature gave him, pretty free willy-nilly. So that's something that we hope we can see a change in by our legislators.
We have to.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
have to make changes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's good to know. I didn't know that you got that endorsement. That's a very near and dear endorsement to my heart. What happened during COVID was really kind of what elevated me into getting more involved in politics, Tony.
I tell
And
you, it woke up a lot of people, especially when they started seeing what's being taught in their schools. Their kids are at home, and they're seeing what's being taught. So, wait a minute, this is not right. And you look at the Democrats today, they did the uh, parental rights. They're taking our parental rights away from us. We had to get 400,000 signatures to get that on the ballot as an initiative. And what happens? They voted, well, this is a bad issue. We better let it go.
yeah.
I mean, this is what the Democrats are doing, is taking away our freedoms one by one.
Yeah, the OSPI, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, even though it was passed by the legislature, which is the lawmaking body in the state,
So don't enforce it.
yeah, is just choosing not to obey the law. So that's what kind of leftist policies are doing for us in our state, and we've got to get people like you elected to combat that, and make better policies, and help ensure that our elected officials are following through with that. So
Again, where is accountability?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, the Supreme Court votes, says that you should do this. I'm not going to do it anyway. The people say you should do this. I'm not going to do it anyway. Well, look at Ben Stuckert. 75% of Spokane citizens voted last year to clear out our parks, playgrounds, and homeless campers. He's suing. 75% of the people said we do not want them at our parks, schools, and churches. But they could be anywhere else, but he's suing the state. And it's so sad that he's not listening to the people.
wow. Well, yes, it is. When the people speak, there's a reason, right? Well, talking about, education and stuff, I want to ask you about, how do you plan to address the most pressing issues facing our constituents, such as illegal immigration, cost of living inflation or taxes, crime, and education? I know those seem to be the very, pressing issues for a lot of our constituents.
Well, look at crime. Again, the Democrats voted where we can't chase the police officers' hands are tied. They can't chase a criminal. So that was signed by 400,000 citizens, and that got voted on. Well, okay, we can start chasing again. The Democrats are not for the citizens. They're for the criminal.
Mm.
They're hand tying our police officers, and that can't happen. So illegal immigration, every state is now a border state. I mean, we have Canada, but we've got a lot of fentanyl coming in, and we've got to close up the border. I mean, that's the first step. What are you going to do with all these people? I'm for legal immigration. If somebody wants to come into the United States and be sponsored, and we don't have to give them welfare just to come here, I'm all for that. But I'm not for what's happening right now at the border. Millions of people, where are they all going? Now, I heard there's a good bit in Seattle and even here in Spokane, but I haven't seen the illegal immigrants coming in here. I've not seen their presence. So they're just going to be underground forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems crazy when we can't even take care of our own people, that we're allowing more people illegally to come into our country and giving them, what is it, like $2,500
I've heard New York's
each.
doing $5,000 a month
Or
each.
it's crazy. And we have citizens that can't even make it on, our veterans aren't being taken care of. It
Well,
just
I
seems
work
like
with
a
seniors.
backwards policy.
I work with seniors that make $1,500 a month, $1,200 a month, $800 a month. I go, how do you live on that? It's so sad. One lady I worked with last week, I helped her get her Medicaid. She's making $1,200 a month, and her rent is $1,000 a month. Well, how do you survive on that? How do you survive on? You get $200 a month for your food, groceries, utilities, and it's very sad. And you bring up immigration to them, boy, they can really tell you, well, my pocketbook should be increased because they're giving them more than me.
Yeah. 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 We're not taking care of our, yeah, it's like opening your door and feeding everyone else, but starving your own family. It doesn't make any sense, Tony. And I appreciate that you have those same concerns. You talked a little bit about education before, about, parental rights. Are there other things that you're concerned about,
Well,
or policies that you want to promote around education?
I know my mom, if you get in trouble at school, you're going to get in trouble when you get home. There's no discipline at school. My son, Winston, went to Milwaukee and Madison, Wisconsin, was teaching. The kids have no respect. They would cuss him out, chew him out. He had 7th and 8th graders threaten his life, and he finally quit teaching after 4 years.
Mm,
But that is a bad situation, and we've done that to ourselves because we have no discipline in the schools. And the parents need to be more involved. Like they're getting involved now. What are my kids learning? And you hear in some states, well, 40% are passing. And they, even here in Washington, we say, yay, look, 40% passed our math test, 30% passed this. That's not a win. It should be 90, 95%. And why are kids dropping out of school today? So we need to keep them in school, keep incentives so they stay in school and get educated. College is not the right direction for everybody. Why are we spending $30,000 a year on college tuition when you can go to work, learn a trade, and in a year be making $100,000 a year being a plumber, electrician, something like that?
Mhm.
So we need to promote trade schools in high school. And what happened? Why are we teaching home economics in high school again? Why aren't we reading the Pledge of Allegiance, having Bible study, open study in our schools? I mean, you can't talk about God in school anymore. And we've lost God, we've lost our faith, and we lost our morals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not a good trajectory. And I agree with you on the trades. I mean, there's, how long does it take for you to get a contractor to come do some work on your house right now? I mean, they're just booked out
And they won't
and
show up.
well, and then there's that,
They don't show up.
unfortunately, because they can, right? Because they're in such high demand. But yeah, we need our students in the trades, and so many of them just seem so hopeless, like they can't make a difference or they can't make it. And so why should they even try? They just the feeling of hopelessness going through our school system right now is really really sad, and that needs to change.
Remember the days we used to play outside, ride bicycles? Today it's in front of that computer. They're addicted to the computer.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about we talked about cost of living a little bit, talk a little bit more about your feelings on these taxes, like cap and trade, deals. You talked about the gas tax a little bit. Are there other things that you want to do as a legislator, Tony, to help people's pockets books?
Oh, that's a good question. Every dollar the state gives out, I want every dollar to be a sunset clause. You have to come back in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and justify the money you're spending and give it the litmus test. Is it being effective? Not effective. I want accountability for every single dollar we spend. I mean, why are we charging? Look at eggs. They have to be cage-free eggs today. So we're paying over $4 a dozen for eggs
Mhm.
instead of $2 a dozen because our legislators do not think about the people. It's a great idea, but it's not right for the people. They can't afford this. Look at the plastic, 8 cents a bag for plastic. Good idea. We don't want this going to our waste, our fields, but we have more pounds of waste, plastic waste going to our fields and to our dumps because the bags we pay 8 cents for are much heavier, but people still throw them away.
Yeah.
So good idea, thinking you're going to cost something, but that's something we need to go back and look at. This is not working. If it's not working, let's do something different.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if everything, sunsetted, all the different laws sunsetted, and they would have to go through an audit process to get renewed, to ensure that actually are doing what they intended to do.
Yeah.
Like you said, the plastic is crazy because everything that we buy from the store is wrapped in plastic. Your meat, your everything. I mean, your
I,
vegetables.
I carry my bags every day, and I hate when I go in my car. Oh, I don't have any bags in my car. I have to pay 8 cents for a bag. But I know what
Yep.
my wife what she uses them for. The
Yep.
plastic straws.
Yep.
Uh, we use I don't use straws, but my wife is a big straw user, so she has recyclable straws that she uses. She likes those. That's great. That's her choice.
Yep.
So I wash them, and she keeps using them. And I have a hybrid car. She has a hybrid car. That's our choice.
Yep.
I like getting 42 miles per gallon for gas, but don't make us have full electric cars that don't work, that cost a lot of money. People can't afford stuff like that. I
No.
have solar panels on my house. Well, we did that by choice because we want to. Right now, I keep our house cooler in the winter, warmer in the summer because the solar panels adjust for the energy. Uh, I did that by choice, not by being a mandate or told what I had to do.
Yeah.
So we are losing our rights every day.
Yep. And this mandatory going to electric on everything, you bring up the vehicles. I mean, you know, they're regulating, asking people to regulate their temperature because they're worried about, taxing the grid or system right now with the heat wave. So how are we going to add a bunch more electric vehicles on that? it doesn't make sense, does it? So I
Not at
agree
all.
with you. Yeah,
Well,
we
look at
need,
initiative 2066, another initiative we should have never had to do.
yeah,
We're going to lose our natural gas, the clean energy. We're going to lose our natural gas. So we got what, 540,000 signatures? It shows that people want to keep the natural gas. I have a
absolutely.
gas heat. I have gas stove. I love my gas heat and gas stove. But just thinking you build a new house, you can't have that now. That's
Yeah,
totally wrong.
yeah.
It's not clean energy.
No, and again, I think they were, it was in Puget Sound that that bill that was passed would affect those customers, to the tune of what, $40,000, possibly for people like you and me, or even like the fixed income people that you were talking about earlier that now have to foot the bill to change over to 100% electric. It doesn't make sense. Like how are they going to pay for that? We're going to drive people out of Washington and out of their homes.
They don't care about your pocketbooks.
Mm, that's sad. The government's supposed to be, I believe, of the people, by the
For the people,
people,
by the
for the
people.
people, correct?
Mhm.
Believe that's our constitution.
One thing I don't like, you hear legislators, I co-sponsored 120 bills. I sponsored 10 bills. Well, that's probably 10 bills too much. Every bill we propose, we should take a bill or two bills off. Why are we meet 4 months in a year, 1 year, next year we meet 2 months. Why are we trying to do is pass bills and get your name on the paper?
Yeah,
Oh, I passed a bill. I co-sponsored a bill. Was it a good bill? Did it help the people? If it didn't help the people, it was not a good bill. So why are you
right,
supporting this?
right. Yep. And it's going to take more of us getting involved and watching and be, holding our electeds accountable, Tony, as well, to ensure that that is happening more and more, because we're overregulated, you know, overlawed, overtaxed as it is. So I agree with you. Tony, you understand the situation in our legislature in Washington State, where right now the Republicans are in the minority. As you mentioned, we're in jeopardy of losing to a super majority. We pray that doesn't happen. And of course, people electing you would help ensure that doesn't happen. But how do you plan to go in there and leverage that minority and strategize to actually be able to make a difference? Unfortunately, we hear some, Republicans say, oh, we can't do anything, because we're in the minority. And I know a lot of our PCOs and a lot of our citizens don't like that answer. So have you
Well,
thought about what you can do?
let's look at gun rights. To me, every time the Democrats put something on about losing our gun rights, the Republicans need to be putting two things why we should keep our guns. Maybe it won't get a hearing, but we have to make news. We have to let people know that we're standing behind them. I mean, I talked to Jeremy at Sharp Shooting, says, well, the Republicans aren't doing anything for me.
Hmm,
Why should I support the Republicans? And I'm sure not going to support the Democrats, but you're not doing anything to help my business. Why aren't we? Well, you hear, well, we can't get anything passed. Well, then we're not making the right kind of news. We're not getting it new in the news that we're trying to do this. We're trying to do that to help our citizens. Um,
yeah. Yep. And we've had three of our Democrat legislators right there in Spokane in the third, and we had the Senate Majority Leader. We should have been pushing as the Spokane County Republicans harder, informing our citizens, I think, of these bills that they were passing, right? And
well,
again, as you being a third, legislative district representative and a Republican, I think you could bring a lot of awareness to that.
well, look at the town halls. When those town halls, how many Republicans go to the town halls to let their voice be heard? If it's all Democrats there, that's all they're hearing. They're going to support them. I mean, we found the Republicans are getting involved with the school boards. If we're not involved, we deserve what we're getting right now. So every individual help by getting involved one way or another, just speaking up, being there at a meeting helps.
Yep.
So you hear all the time where Republican can't win, so they don't vote. Or Republican can win if you vote. So every vote is important. And that's doorbelling is important because, oh, there's a Republican. And it's been so positive. The feedback has been so positive. I've just been really happy how well it's going. We're glad we got a good Republican running. Oh, this is what I stand for. I want to give my palm card. I call them Slim Jims being sales and marketing, but palm card. I like this. Oh, you're on the water board. I believe in water rights. So I'm now chair of the Spokane County Water Conservancy Board. And we try to be creative to make sure our farmers get the water they need, our land contractors get the water they need to build on land.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's good. You're getting good feedback. See, we do have Republicans in the third, and we can win the seat. They need to be reminded, and we need to get that vote out. So any final comments, Tony, for the voters?
Well, I'm going to be the voice of sensibility. I'm going to have values and morals to vote for what helps the citizen. This is your seat, not my seat. I represent you. I'm going to support you and vote what you want, not what I want. So there's a difference. Some people, like I said earlier, when 125 people testify against the bill and 9-10 people testify for a bill, but yet you don't listen and you still vote for the bill. That's totally wrong. If I heard that many people testify against something, I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to vote for it. We've got to get out and vote. We all vote, we win, and it's been 40 years since the Republicans had this seat. It's time to make a change, and we do not want the Democrats to have supermajority. If they get supermajority, we have no say-so on what happens in the future. They're going to pass whatever they want. There's going to be unlimited spending. We can't let that happen.
Yeah.
So you think gas at 42 cents a gallon more was bad this year? It could be even higher next year.
Well, we're seeing that. Lisa Brown's already, talking about a tax increase, and barely 6 months, 7 months into her term. And so just more taxes, more spending. That's the trend, that's the trajectory. And if we want something different, we have got to do something different, and we've got to vote for Tony Kiepe in the 3rd legislative district. So Tony, where can
Absolutely.
people go to engage with you and donate to your campaign?
Kiepe for WA, Kiepe for WA, for FOR. So you can go right there on my website, see all about me. You can hit the donate button right there, donate. My phone number is 509-934-7455. I am there for you. You can call me anytime. Ben Stuckert, on his PDC, he didn't list his phone number. He will not talk to you. So I'm going to be available for you to call me and talk to me. If you like something, don't like something, if you want to change my mind on something, call me. I'll listen to you. I like to have good, cordial debates, discussions, not fights, but cordial debates.
That's awesome. Well, everybody, thank you, Tony, for being with us today. And you need to get out and support Tony. Go to his website. I know you're on social media as well. Engage with him there. And he's bringing hope to the 3rd. It's not a lost cause. We can get the 3rd back. So please engage with Tony. And remember to vote in the primary. The primary is a very important election this August. Ballots drop next week. And so, I think Tony would love to have people helping him doorbell and do literature drops and stuff in the 3rd. So engage with Tony or reach out to us. You can go to SpokaneGOP.com and find Tony's information there as well. Tony, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Sure will. You have a good one.
You too.